So I'm here today to say that climate change constitutes a serious threat to global security, an immediate risk to our national security, and make no mistake, it will impact how our military defends our country.
We are, all of you know it, on the edge of a climatic abyss. In fact, we have 500 days to avoid a climate chaos.
Something wrong?
Wrong? No. What could be wrong?
You know the beauty of the sea, but you also know its unforgiving power. You know the beauty of the sea, but you also know its unforgiving power. Here at the Academy, climate change, understanding the science and the consequences, is part of the curriculum, and rightly so, because it will affect everything that you do in your careers. Some of you have already served in Alaska and aboard icebreakers, and you know the effects. As America's maritime guardian, you've pledged to remain always ready. Semper Paratus, ready for all threats. And climate change is one of those most severe threats. And this is not just a problem for countries on the coasts or for certain regions of the world. Climate change will impact every country on the planet. No nation is immune. So I'm here today to say that climate change constitutes a serious threat to global security, an immediate risk to our national security. And make no mistake, it will impact how our military defends our country. So we need to act, and we need to act now. After all, isn't that the true hallmark of leadership? When you're on deck, standing your watch, you stay vigilant. You plan for every contingency. And if you see storm clouds gathering or dangerous shoals ahead, you don't sit back and do nothing. You take action to protect your ship, to keep your crew safe. Anything less is negligence. It is a dereliction of duty. And so too with climate change. Denying it or refusing to deal with it endangers our national security. It undermines the readiness of our forces. It's been said of life on the sea.
When I'm saying the planet also means, very concretely, our very survival. We are, all of you know it, on the edge of a climatic abyss. In fact, we have 500 days to avoid a climate chaos. If the current trend continues, the rise of temperatures may not be limited to 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels, but might reach 7 to 9, which means 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, which would be catastrophe. In this context, the UN Conference on Climate Change, which will take place next year in Paris, is an absolute top priority.
Something wrong?
Wrong? No. What could be wrong?
The goal is to achieve a post-2020 agreement that should include all countries and be legally binding. This is ambitious, but there are some glimmers of hope. Compared with Copenhagen, climate denial is, at least in Europe, less audible. The latest US report on climate change was a wake-up call. It demonstrates President Obama's personal commitment on this issue. The business community is also somewhat moving. The shift is not limited to the developed world. China knows it has to act, and it is acting. I discussed it in depth with Chinese leaders, and we'll be back this week in China for that purpose. African states are committing to sustainable development strategies. Brazil and South Africa have set ambitious environmental targets. The way to Paris is surely not easy, but it is indispensable and doable.